ready to take your investment game to the next level? Introducing Digital Investor, your ultimate guide to mastering the digital marketplace. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, Digital Investor brings you cutting-edge game theoretical strategies, expert insights, and real-time tips and tactics to analyze, evaluate, invest, and grow your wealth. Don't miss out on the digital revolution. Visit www.nickblacknex.com and start your journey with Digital Investor today.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Last days here, back to CT, back to court. Bill, you going back to court? I guess they're finally having that arraignment, huh? Hello. All right. Let's see what's going on. Good morning. Man, this is toasted cinnamon spice, which is a lot of stuff. But it's good as hell. Hello. All right. Hopefully nobody made any crazy moves the last couple of days. You just let markets be markets. Let stuff happen. It's okay. Hello. Good morning. So, yeah, let me put on some music. Is okay to start with, but then it's like it's aggressive. It's like aggressive good morning music. It's called Sunset Beach, but I'm not so sure that that's what a sunset would be like. Okay. What's going on? Well, we got some cool news. Well, there's always cool news, isn't there? Let's see. Oh, quick bit. I should probably put it in a banner. On the NFTs. But for anybody, if you didn't hear, basically anyone, let me write it. Anyone who purchases 9 Node Market NFTs will never pay again for your digital investor membership. That's clear, except that I didn't spell that right. Okay. Bam! So I put that out in the chats yesterday just because for those of you that are supporting Node Market, because that's where a lot of this technology goes to Node Market. And so for those of you supporting Node Market with the NFTs, which by the way, each month you collect whatever revenue Node Market makes, all of it, at this point, all of it is given back. So we don't take any revenue. You guys know that, right? Like we don't take revenue from Node Market. It gets distributed back. All those fees between transactions, that goes right back to, it's just divided up evenly among the Node Market NFT holders. So that's good. And then in the future, if there was some kind of deal where we took on an investor, we got, money came in, or we got whatever, acquired or something like that, they would have to buy out all of the NFT holders. So they would have to buy out all of you guys for some price that would be, based on whatever its relative value was. Anyway, long story short, yeah. So since you guys are supporting the cause, people had joked with me because I always make fun of lifetime memberships. I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? Especially now when we might have virtual immortality. But it's not a lifetime membership. It's a never pay again membership. So it's a distinction with a difference. So anyway, you would never pay again. So yeah, so that's the deal there. And then the digital private clients have a similar type thing that's a little bit higher. But yes, but they've all made millions of bucks. So I don't feel sorry for them. I don't feel sorry for y'all. On paper, the digital private clients on paper have made 1.3 billion in a year and a half? That's not bad for 18 months. So yeah, 1.3 billion is not, it's not nothing. So anyway, there we go. There's that. Okay. We got some interesting news today, kind of all over the map. If you guys have questions, because this is office hours, so that's the whole point of like the Tuesday, Thursdays when we kind of spitball different questions and we can go down some random and nebulous paths. Let me see who else is here. Good morning. Buying more recycle GMRT. Yeah, GMRT I think is going to have a good end of the month. So they're getting the matter of fact, that team told me yesterday, stand by for some announcements. So some announcements are probably coming. Woo woo. And my guess is that's leading into Dubai. They're like the main. I think they're like the main thing that's being debuted at Dubai AI Week as far as new companies. So that's kind of cool. So that'll be a thing. Conan, what up? So yeah, I think GMRT is going to do good. I think anybody that who here did that trade where you went from hypercycle tokens to GMRT tokens when they were about even. There's a point where hypercycle tokens were more, and then it's like two ships crossing in the night, or actually two ships crossing. So if you did that trade, you're up like 65% already. It's not nothing. You find ways to make some nice little arbitrage, even when the markets are sideways, when the markets are boring. There's something to be done always. This is another reason that we're going to roll out options training behind the wall for digital investors, where we're going to start talking at least probably 2 days a week. We're going to have to start looking at the options chains. I'm funding that account today, and we may even by Friday be starting to look at our first options trades. We'll see. Let me see how long it takes to get. I just got my E-Trade redone. Is it E-Trade or Fidelity? One of them, whatever. I'm going to be buying IBIT, but I'm going to be starting with cash. So I'm going to go, I think I'll put like 200K over there, and we'll start there. And then everybody can see, and we'll keep it like simple. And then we're going to create like a dashboard thing. Brandon's working on it now, where when you go to the dashboard for digital investor, why is that thing still spinning? Hold on. Spinning wheel, stop. There we go. Yeah. So when you go to the dashboard, you'll see, I'm sure he's going to structure it. Well, you'll be able to see which positions, we might have taken or yada, yada. So anyway, he's working on that. So we'll know what that'll look like here in a few days, maybe a week. But we will probably start talking about those positions as far as like what we're taking, what we're selling. So on the put side, it'll be selling cash secured puts. And on the call side, it'll be selling covered calls against IBIT, which is the Bitcoin ETF, the BlackRock one. Well, we're going to talk about BlackRock today. BlackRock in the news today. Apparently, CEOs believe we're in a recession. Wow, what an epiphany, right? These same dudes that a quarter ago were lying to you so that their share price would be good. But now the share price is down. Now that, the tide went out, everybody's swimming naked. They're like, it's recession. Oh, okay, cool. So that's tough. Well, anyway, we'll talk about that. But yeah, so that's what we're doing there. So the options portion of that'll probably take about, I don't know, that's probably going to be 10 or 15 minutes Monday and Friday, because I want to show people what you should be getting into, but I also want to show people what you should be getting out of and when you might want to be getting out of stuff. There's a lot to be said for it's selling, being an option seller, again, which is the smart way to do it, be a casino. It doesn't mean just fire and forget, because you can still trade the market vacillations. So we'll kind of go into that a lot. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Hello. Yes. Yes. Thank you. The options are going to be fun. Let's see. Is there any reason at all as investors would need the Ethereum Hypercycle tokens once the base node factories are released? Well, yes, because, yes or no. I would say before you would want to build your factories to get equal. Oh, by the way, I saw a document floating around, and if they don't change it, your tilling history will go from whatever your tilling history is on Ethereum. I think it will transfer over to your base node factories. They will also have a tilling history. It's just that from that point forward, you would need to maintain that either through tilling as a service or, whatever, plug into your own rigs. But your base node factories that you're getting al gratis will have a tilling history. They will have a heartbeat history. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So there's that. Okay. So is there any reason you would keep the tokens afterwards? Well, I don't know. I thought about this, and I'm wondering if there's an arbitrage there, if there's some kind of arb trade. But no, I'm not sure. Well, if other people entered the network, that might sop up the tokens. But just between me and you, probably not. I think I never, and I've said this for a long time. I'm not a Johnny come lately on this. I just never thought the token price meant anything, because it's a fuel for the node. So the tokens and the license creates a node factory. I never really looked at the token as any kind of asset that might appreciate. I did think, well, okay, if a bunch of people scoop up the tokens in order to build their licenses, that should put some pressure on the token, upward pressure, right? If demand increases but supply is the same, you get the up. Well, but other than that, I don't look at it. I've never looked at that token as an investment token. The investment is the licenses married to the tokens to create your node factory, and then those node factories either doing compute or a combination of compute and tilling to spit out more node factories, little factories, and those little factories spit out factories, and those factories spit out all the way down 10 times. That's where the value is. And yeah, that's always. And so I will be running when all this is said and done, and the early deployment program stuff kind of winds down. I think in November, I'll be running mini node factories. Mini. Again, that's something we would talk about behind the wall. But yes, mini. But I won't be holding on to a bunch of tokens, because what would be the point? So I guess you're kind of right about that. See, we just talked our way through it. What happens to JNVR? Will they be like MicroStrategy except with Solana? Yeah, I read about that. I don't know. It seems like that. I don't like any of these companies that just become self-appointed treasuries. Like, if your whole point your whole reason to exist is holding something that everyone else can buy on their own. That's not interesting to me. I mean, unless some weird future goal of Microsailor and these guys is to become a bank of some kind, like come and borrow against credit that we will lend into existence against this stockpile of Bitcoin or stockpile of Solana or whatever. I don't know, man. It seems a little bit weak. There's already 5,000 too many banks in America. And those are banks where all they do is banking. Do we want someone that all they do is hemorrhage money as a bank? I don't know. I mean, I'd say let the scummy fraudster banksters just be banksters. We don't need any more Jamie Dimons. And if I have to have a choice between who I would want to sit down and have dinner with, between Michael Saylor and Jamie Dimon, I'm sitting down with Jamie Dimon. Because while that guy is crooked as hell, so is Michael Saylor. But at least you're gonna see what's going on behind, under the veil if you hung out with Jamie Dimon. I bet that guy is a mean mother. That guy is like a bag full of rattlesnakes. Anyway, yeah. Okay. I don't keep hypercycle tokens. They go right into node factories. Didn't have any to trade. Okay, yeah. So I just did with my excess. And it wasn't like tons and tons. My excess is minimal, but each month I get some from our early investment. And then I, whatever. Let's see. What are GMRT selling at? I think 2.8 cents. You looked on Node Market. Oh, no. On those, you can just you're better off either trading through DeBridge or right through MetaMask. Just look at whatever the swap is through MetaMask. Okay. Let's see. Will we be able to get the trade real time? Frank, do you mean like the options trades? Well, whenever we make a trade, we're going to post it. The only difference, it might not be the second it happens. Usually what it happens is like this. Whenever I'm going to make a trade, I'll tell the digital private clients a little bit before I do it. Like once I've made up my mind, okay, it's time to do, unless it's something minimal, $38 here, $40 there. But if it's a significant trade or a significant investment or a sale, then I tell the digital private clients there's two private chats we have, an info only chat and then a chat where we can talk back and forth. So I tell them before I'm going to do something like selling this for this, and I'll let them know first so they can, act or react. It's essentially like front run me or whatever. So for the options, if that's what you're referring to, it will be somewhat real time. It'll be like whenever we update it, whenever, every week or two, whenever we make a trade or a position change. Okay. Can we buy or sell the no market NFTs freely from other members? Doesn't seem like we can unless it's, no, not right now because of the weirdness of it. Because it earns revenue. So you have to have it in your wallet to earn the revenue. You could just be careful that you don't, get scammed or whatever. Just be careful. Everybody be careful. How about that? Yeah. Okay. All right. But obviously, for the sake of the never pay again thing, like we would know if none are sold and yet you end up with 9, that would not be what we're trying to achieve. What we're trying to achieve is have a budget for developers that continues to extend, because them suckers ain't cheap. All right, let's see. When you said give me $10 per month, do you mean per license? Yes, that's right. That's the way I understand it. Could potentially be. Again, we don't know. And when they put dollars to it, like there's some guy out there, I don't remember his name, but he comes up in meetings and they're like, oh, this guy I guess he's a younger guy, and he worked for the Department of Energy or something like that. And he's like, oh, I believe I can make $300 a month per node. Now he's going to be doing a lot of the tooling himself, so, you know, you think, well, what would that like if you had lent him nodes and licenses, what would that have returned for you? That probably would have returned for you about $100 a month. So that would be for one per, so I don't know. That seems a little pie in the sky, but I don't know what the numbers are, and I don't think anybody knows what the numbers are. I don't think there's any way to know what the numbers are until until compute starts rolling across some of these nodes, and until companies are, you know, borrowing and lending, and that whole environment builds, which, you know, they're trying to roll that out now. But until it does, and until money's coming in, you know, we don't know, right? Like, we don't know. So yeah. Okay. Let's see. Joseph Honorati is the new CEO of JNVR Cree. He plans to stake Solana like Michael Saylor. Is it a good idea? I mean, it's good. I saw it and I was like, well, I'm glad Solana is not dead. I mean, at first, Solana is a poorly built protocol, and there was a lot of fraud and just sketchy behavior going on behind the scenes. But you know what? That's everywhere. It turns out that's everywhere. So, you know, maybe they get their act together. It's being pushed by a bunch of scummy VCs, the same scumbags. I mean, you know, it's just whatever. It's the same people that got you in trouble with Luna. It's the same people that got, because these guys all jump on the same 5 or 6 things. They call each other. They all start spreading it. They push it to all their people. They use everyone else as their exit, like whatever. But I like Jupiter and I like JLP. Therefore, I want Solana to be successful. And just in general, I don't really want, I mean, those guys have already pulled the scam. They're already rich. There's no point hating on them at this, right, like now. Like, okay, they've already stolen the money. Same thing with the guys at Ripple. Like, they've already stolen everyone's money. Every idiot that bought XRP funded Chris and Brad becoming super wealthy for nothing. So if they're okay with that, then I don't have a problem with it. Fine. There's no difference than standing up some church and using religion to take 15% of people's paycheck. Whatever. Like, okay, that's on you. So I don't want Solana to fail. I want it to do good. And now we have a vested interest in it with like JLP and Jupiter. So yeah, I hope it does good. I think it's a good idea? No, I think it's a stupid idea. It is one of the dumbest ideas. Again, it's a company becoming a holding facility, becoming a depository for Solana. Doesn't make any damn sense. It doesn't make any sense for Bitcoin either. What do? We hold Bitcoin. I can hold Bitcoin. Yeah, but we do. Okay, and you can buy our equity. Why? So when it goes the other way and you go bankrupt and you're going to have to start selling Bitcoin, like why would I participate in that crap? Why would I give you money for free? Oh no, we're going to pay you 8% and the 9, 10, 11. Like, dude, listen, Michael Saylor, they can't pay 8% quarter on quarter or even 8% annualized every quarter. They can't do it. They cannot do it. They do not have the money. This is a company that, as admitted, is hemorrhaging between $6 and $7 billion now a quarter. How on earth is that a-hole going to pay people some regular stipend? So what's happening is the money's costing him more to go out. There's apparently not an unending supply, a bottomless well of stupidity like he thought. And so it's not so easy to find money now, Mike. So now he's got to have to pay people. This zero coupon bond stuff, that's over with. Now he's got to pay people interest. And it's a lot. A lot. So we'll see. But no, I think it's a terrible idea. Okay. Let's see. revenue per node for pledge. Yeah. But even revenue per node, that's what I was saying in my example. If you were lending them and you got, like, say, if you had the node factories and you were getting, I don't know what percentage you would get, 20, 30%, but of $300, that'd be 90 or $100, right? So, or 60 to 90 bucks, but whatever. Yeah. I've given node market NFT to my son with no problems. No, you can an NFT you can give to anyone. Yes, you can trade them around. Whoever has them in their wallet, they receive the revenue. But for the sake of the never pay again thing and stacking 9 of them, you can do whatever you want, but it's 9 as of yesterday when we announced it. So from that point, if you get 9, you're in. You slid home and you never pay again. Woo woo. Okay. Let me see if I missed any questions. Do we think compute rolls out this year? Yes. I think compute rolls out. I think compute could roll out in the next two or 3 months. I think in the next few months. I think before the summer is here, compute, I feel like at some level will be running. We'll see. But yes, definitely this year. They know they have to get it out this year, because if they don't get compute out this year, when all those tokens unlock from the early deployment program (EDP) in November, that's it. People will just leave. They'll just sell their whatever tokens they have left, and they'll just leave the ecosystem. They don't want that. So they know they have to make this work. Really, the clock is counting. I think they have to get this done by October. So yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what you're saying. But I think it'll be sooner than later. If we park our node factories at a hardware provider, I've heard they'll make 30% of the profit. Do you know if that's accurate? I think that's what I was doing my math on. That's about what I think is realistic. So yeah. And again, based on my example, if this kid thinks he can get 300 a month, 30%, 300, yeah, okay. All right. Any information on when the older node factories might be splitting? That I don't know, but I thought that we were getting close. I think people are getting close on that. So yeah, I think we're getting close on that. Would it be better to upgrade my current node factory to the next level with my excess tokens? Oh, wait, what do you mean? Or start a second node factory? It makes no difference. Kurt, it makes no difference. Whatever you have when they have their cutoff date, you'll get on the base network. And that's coming pretty soon, I think. I don't have an exact date, but I was under the impression that the 30-day period would start here in a few days. I will know more Thursday, because we have our kind of the group-wide call on Thursday. All right. Hypercycle question. Man, a lot of hypercycle questions. Is the other hardware providers that will be available other than Hyperpools or HyperPG? Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of companies that may come in and borrow up a bunch of node factories in order to run their own compute. So I think there might be a lot of that kind of leverage. Yeah. Let's see. What happened to the notion Hypercycle was going to become so scarce the price will go up? Well, I mean, that still could be the case. But that should have never been your base case for owning the token. Again, from the beginning, owning the token was for marrying to licenses so that you can participate in the kind of AI compute. It was never buy Hypercycle token at N, hoping that it would be N plus X, right? Like it was never meant to be a speculative token, because that's just not what that proposition is all about. So anyway, we'll pay for tilling also once compute starts. Did not get a clear answer from Hypercycle. I don't know. I mean, I don't know everything. They don't tell me stuff. They're their own separate company. We are just invested in their ecosystem. But I don't get like They don't tell me about that kind of stuff. But they're putting together a big document that will hopefully clear up a lot of this stuff. And I saw a version of part of the document yesterday, and I read it, and it mostly made sense. There's some things they have to kind of clean up. But that'll be kind of this big working document that'll explain from everybody's perspective everything they do or don't have to do. So there you go. All right. Let's go and let's talk about the news, because there is some. Let me get over here and let's see. Let's switch up the music a little bit. Something a little bit more chill. A little more chill. Okay. What's going on? Let's start with the Department of Justice disbanding the crypto enforcement team. They're shifting their focus to scammers that are targeting individual investors. The DOJ's decision to disband its crypto enforcement team signals a shift towards targeting individual scammers rather than institutions, unless those institutions are scammers. The DOJ has formally disbanded the National Crypto Enforcement Team. So for those guys that had a badge, hand in your badges, fellas. Them days is behind us. In a 4-page memo that was issued Monday evening, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche notified DOJ staff that the unit, once tasked with spearheading high-profile crypto-related investigations, had been dissolved effective immediately. Turn in your badge, turn in your gun, go home. The move, outlined in a memo obtained by Fortune, aligns with President Donald Trump's January executive order to clarify regulatory frameworks surrounding digital assets and reverse what his administration calls the regulation by prosecution model pursued under President Joe Biden. The move, as outlined in the memo obtained by Fortune, aligns. So great. Mr. Blanche emphasized in the memo that DOJ is not a regulatory body for digital assets, and that the agency would henceforth prioritize cases involving individuals who directly defraud or victimize investors rather than entities such as exchanges, mixers like Tornado Cash, or providers of self-custodial wallets. The decision is seen as a continuation of Trump's pro-crypto posture. Okay. So let's see. The DOJ's INSET, which is the old group, launched in 2021 during the Biden administration, had once been a powerful force in the crypto space. I never even heard of these guys. It was responsible for several landmark decisions, including the investigation of crypto mixer Tornado Cash and efforts to track illicit crypto flows linked to North Korean cyber operations, which I still don't understand why those guys, you can't have a big group of hackers stay silent forever. You just keep upping the amount that you'll pay these guys to snitch on their friends, and they will all snitch on their friends. These are like, that's just humans, man. God. Anyway, the abrupt closure of INSET has sparked debate over continued oversight in crypto. The DOJ is not acting in isolation, however. The Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, has also begun scaling back its crypto enforcement activities. In February, the SEC announced internal restructuring that reassigned dozens of lawyers and staff from its crypto-focused divisions to other departments. This signals an obvious pivot in its priorities. So, according to the report, many within the agency interpreted the move as a demotion, though the SEC officials publicly framed it as a rebalancing of resources. You fired. How about that? Commissioner Hester Pierce, a longtime advocate for clear, rules-based crypto regulation, is spearheading this change at the SEC, which is good. Everybody used to call her Crypto Mom. In a February interview with Bloomberg, Pierce criticized the SEC's historical reliance on enforcement actions as a proxy for regulatory clarity, particularly under the leadership of former chair GG. We don't even care about what his name is because he doesn't exist anymore. He's a effing nothing burger. See, it was good. I almost dropped some F-bombs, but I didn't. But if anybody could get me to do it, ooh, scary Gary. Hester Pierce confirmed that the SEC is reassessing all existing crypto enforcement cases, including its high-profile lawsuit against Binance, which has been paused for 60 days. She said we've been using enforcement cases to set regulatory policy. We're trying to shift that. Well done, I would say. Let's see. Trump, who once derided Bitcoin, is now positioned himself as a crypto president, using pro-crypto rhetoric to court both industry leaders and digital native voters. Also didn't hurt during his election. Let's see. So, yeah, there's not really much else in this. It's just more of the same kind of stuff. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, Bitcoin's important, blah, blah, blah. Got it. Okay. So anyway, that's the main thing. The DOJ is disbanding their crypto enforcement team. Remember, it's not a demotion. It's just that you're fired. Boop. All right. What else is going on? Well, apparently CEOs think the U.S. is probably in a recession right now, says BlackRock's Larry Fink. BlackRock. Okay, so I mean, BlackRock is a kingmaker, so you do have to listen to what they say. And they're all in crypto. I mean, they're all in Bitcoin and Ethereum, like all in, balls deep. So, you know, people do listen to the biggest asset manager on the planet. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink said Monday that many business leaders believe the United States is already in a significant downturn. Hashtag obviously. Most CEOs I talked to would say we're probably in a recession right now, Fink said at an event for the Economic Club of New York. I bet that is just an itchy, wearing clothes you don't like, uncomfortable seats, crappy eggs type of a thing. You know, like, here's your breakfast. It's like coffee that tastes like turpentine and eggs that taste like nylon. Yay. Oh, Larry Fink. Yeah. Who's next after him? Oh, Gary G's talking. Yeah. Anyway, one CEO specifically said the airline industry is a proverbial bird in a coal mine. Yeah, canary in the coal mine. And I was told that the canary is sick already. Yeesh. The asset management executive also said that he thinks the tariff policies of Donald Trump could put upward pressure on inflation. Oh, he's missing it too. These guys, man, none of these mother truckers do math. None of them have a Crayola and a napkin and like an extra 3 minutes during the day. They just parrot the same stupid crap everybody else says. Do some math, bro. You run the biggest pile of money on the planet Earth. You can't do some damn math? Anyway, it could put upward pressure on inflation, wrong, and make it difficult for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates, also wrong, as the central bank often does during recessions. The central bank they'll cut rates. They probably already would cut rates, except that Donald Trump told Powell to cut rates. So Powell, they're going to hold off just to be like, no, you don't tell us what to do. We do what we do it ourselves. We're big boys. We're adults. We're grown-ups. We're not babies. Jerome Powell's such a windbag douchebag. They're all douchebags. But anyway, the Federal Reserve will cut rates because they got to roll over debt. They'll say whatever they want. They're going to be cutting. They're already cutting. They're going to continue cutting because every bank on earth is cutting. And even though the Fed's not a central bank, they're going to cut rates. They're going to try to do it in a way where they frame it where they've decided based on their new information that it's time to lower borrowing rates, lower interest rates to spur economic growth and provide support to the banking system. They'll frame it where they're like Captain Save-A-Ho, rather than we're Johnny come lately, super late, embarrassed by our inaction again. So yeah, the notion that the Federal Reserve is going to ease 4 times this year, and this is Fink. He's wrong, by the way. Well, let me say this. If you were thinking that there might be 4 cuts this year at a quarter point, I could see a 50, a 25, another 25. I could even see a 50-50 and a 25. So they can say, oh, like Fink, I'll read his quote, but he says, the notion that the Federal Reserve is going to ease 4 times this year, I see 0 chance of that. Well, Fink, then you're stupid because everybody that's voting, the chances are that there's going to be 5 rate cuts. So when you say I see 0 chance of that, that is a false statement. You don't see zero chance because economists say 5. So you see some chance because of all the economists that you also quote. So it's like you can't, like these dudes, man, they cherry pick. Anyway, he said, I'm much more worried that we could have elevated inflation. Wrong. That's going to bring rates up much higher than they are today. Again, wrong. If people don't have jobs or their jobs suck and their hours suck and their wages are not going up, do you think they go out and buy more stuff? Are they more competitive or less competitive for stuff? Like common sense, man. If stuff's more expensive, do you go buy more of it? No. High prices cure high prices. Jesus. Anyway, pricing in the Fed funds futures market currently suggests that traders expect the central bank to lower its benchmark rate by at least 1 percentage point by the end of the year. Okay, well, 1 percentage point at a quarter point pop will be 4 cuts. Larry. BlackRock, as a firm, held more than 11 trillion in assets as of the end of 2024. That's not even, don't even think about their derivative exposure, spread across both public and private markets. So there you go. So even though at least the majority of his ilk, of his brethren say that the rates will drop by a point, in his mind, he can't fathom 4 cuts. So would he be okay with 2 cuts of 50? It's like, yeah, well, that's different. Why? Well, it's 2 cuts. Yeah, but isn't it the amount that matters? No, it's the number. It's the how many cuts. It's the psychology. It's the message that sends. Seems like 4 cuts of a quarter would send a message that the Fed is going to slowly walk their way into the. Have you guys ever wondered if there was any real math going? Why a quarter point or a half point or a point? Why isn't it 0.39, 0.41, 0.73? Why isn't there actual math involved in these rate cuts and rate hikes? Why is it just arbitrary? Go up a quarter. So all of your math, all of your PhDs, the many tens of thousands of people that contribute to your data, everything resolves to a quarter point intervals? That's just bullcrap. It's so stupid. That's like, how old are you? I am 39.25. What about tomorrow? I will also be 39.25. When will you be 39.5? Once I am 39.5, for the next 90 days, I will be 39.5. That doesn't make any damn sense. Anyway, recession, everyone. Recession. No crap. Okay. On a little bit lighter, kind of more fun news, at least more positive. Let's see. 3 reasons why Ethereum could turn a corner. Well, I'd say it has turned a corner, and it hadn't been a pretty one. But Infinix founder Kane Warwick, what a crazy name! He sounds like a character in The Witcher. Find Kane Warwick. He has the glowing sword of inflation, and only when it meets the rock of tariffs will it bleed out deflation. Whatever. Anyway, he says, Kane Warwick, that Ethereum needs an influx of new buyers. Okay, awesome. We'll just get that. He has a few ideas on how the hype could return to Ethereum, but says there's no one easy narrative to breathe life back into it. And this is like a weird picture of him, like with his eyes closed. He's kind of a weird looking dude. He's got some stuff going on. He said, this is his quote, "There's no effing certainty in Ethereum land right now," he tells Hall of Flame. But that doesn't mean a comeback is off the table. If there's demand for Ethereum, the asset, demand for block space on the layer 1, that will drive things. Warwick, who admits he sold off 90% of his Ethereum bags since late 2020, thinks Ethereum could regain momentum if layer 2 networks finally start paying their fair share for using the base layer security. Now listen, why is this interesting? Because this is something that Ethereum can do pretty easily. And if you guys remember, Justin Sun nailed it. Why do you let all these layer 2s steal all of your transaction capacity, gain all the benefits, and you guys do nothing about it? And this is a lever that Vitalik and these other guys can throw. And I think there's a possibility of it, but we'll see. Anyway, charging layer 2s more, capturing more of the value that layer 2s are generating, and increasing the kind of margin on block space would be quite bullish for the layer 1. So for the main Ethereum, the ETH, the token, and the main Ethereum ecosystem. So another possibility is if tokenization takes off and big players turn to Ethereum for its tokenization and credible neutrality. People start putting structured products on Ethereum layer 1. They do large block trades and use it as a financial rail that is permissionless, and that would add a lot of excitement to Ethereum. And also, it's a lot of transactions pushing through the network. He also mentioned that Ethereum's boring stability and yield, the 3%-ish, is appealing to more traditional investors. I think some of these large allocators are looking for something that's already working. They don't want something that has a 3% chance of a 50x. They want something that has a 100% chance of 7% gain next year. They want the guaranteed. They want the in the park. They want to get on base, I guess is what he's saying. We need to get to a level of actual adoption that brings more certainty to the table. Then you would have pension funds, things like that going in. He believes DPIN and DeSci. I'll get to it. DPIN, and DeSci, decentralized science. He says a new novel narrative blowing up in the Ethereum world would help. He has his eye on several crypto narratives that could help bring fresh investors back into the space. DePIN, which never really had a big run, but decentralized science, and even there's like people saying DI, like decentralized AI, despite the first version of AI slop agents being pretty much garbage. He also sees reasons to be hopeful about blockchain gaming, even though he admits it never really landed. Warwick's brothers run the Illuvium gaming project. That thing's a fail. There's some green shoots that are kind of there, so I get it. He's deep in the weeds. But anyway, what's interesting is that most of these possibilities exist on Ethereum. Warwick moved on from his Ethereum maxi days, and during this week's market crash, which hit Ethereum harder than any other coin, he commented, "Should have sold 100% of my ETH." ETH maxis have been dreaming of some silver bullet. Oh, ETH's going to be fine because Trump's buying it, or ETH's going to be fine because of whales. He says the market changed. Ethereum needs a fresh influx of new buyers. He says everyone who wanted to back the idea of venture-style world computer jumped into Ethereum between 2016 and 2018. And the Bitcoin he believes the rotation from Bitcoin into Ethereum, those days are over. He said the old playbook where people took profits from Bitcoin, rolled into Ethereum and other alts after all-time highs to try to accumulate more Bitcoin, probably won't play out as black and white again. Well, I think that's obvious just because there's so many more assets. Warwick believes that market structure went out the window once the institutions got their hands on Bitcoin, as the big players have no interest in playing rotation games into alts. I don't completely agree with him, and I don't think he has a strong grasp on economics, but it is an interesting position. But he's a Twitter guy. He's a Twitter guy that probably has $14 invested, and most everybody here probably has more money in the market than he does. So anyway, his predictions are, while he believes 2025 hasn't gone to plan for the crypto industry, macroeconomic uncertainty, Donald Trump's tariffs, declining crypto market, but he's not losing hope. He said there's still a lot of time left this year. He's thinking about the big question when the U.S. government turns the printer back on and whether they try to pump the market back up. Again, that's a that's a very flawed dummy's understanding or flawed understanding of how markets work. There ain't no pump. He's just an idiot. Well, I think what he probably meant to say is if we get to the point past rate cuts, past quantitative easing into actual transfer payment stimulus, which is transfer payments to people. Nothing else is real money. Nothing. Rate cuts are not money. QE is not money. Remember, it's a bank reserve swap. It's a balance sheet swap. It's no real money into the economy. Money comes in the economy in a couple of ways, but mostly banks lend free-flowing cash and credit availability, lending into the economy. Banks, not the Fed. Banks. Fed is not the Federal Reserve is not a central bank. They don't deal in money. They deal in bank reserves. But banks, your bank, Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, all that. When they lend, that's money going into the economy. And transfer payments directly from the Treasury into your checking account. The little Treasury checks, like all the weird stuff during COVID, transfer payments and all that kind of stuff. When money appears in the economy, that has a stimulative effect. It typically does create supply chain imbalances, supply shocks, that kind of thing, right? Because there's a lot more dollars chasing the same amount of consumer products, and eventually they're gone. Hiring managers over order, they restock, they resupply, but the demand is not there, and then you have the supply shock, and then prices, they first go up, and then they crash down. Great, okay, great. And then people got to get fired. So we're on the tail end of that. What does Jeff say? That the payback? We're on the payback. We're on the payback phase of that. Anyway, so this guy had none of that even factors. I find that when people don't want to do the math, everything becomes one blob. They go, oh, government pump up economy. Okay. All right, cool. Like that's just whatever. Anyway, he believes there's a finite window of time where if the market is bad, if the economy is bad, then the midterm is going to be a bloodbath for the Republicans. They got to figure out how to get the economy going again. Warwick is feeling bullish about Bitcoin reaching 250K in 2025. I think there's a good chance toward the end of the year that they ramp up and try to pump the markets back up. Again, this is the nice guy, but it's economic slop. It's economic slop when people talk like this. Very loose, very sloppy. Just game theoretically, he's just like a noodle. There's no concreteness. And that's my problem with a lot of these armchair economists. They're sloppy. They're unsophisticated, like grossly unsophisticated in their ability to just look at simple things and math them out. You don't have to have a PhD in physics or understand asymptotic freedom or particle superposition to understand how the Fed works. It's pretty effing simple. So when these people, you're going to see a lot right now of these economists going on CNBC and Bloomberg and all this sloppy thoughts, just weak, no concreteness in their assumptions, just sloppy crap. And so just don't listen to that. When you start hearing that slop and stuff, just be like, turn the noise down. There's a lot of it. Okay. On the bombshell, why hold op or any other layer 2? Time to switch. Time to swap it to. I don't know. I mean, I don't think anything. This is overnight, and everybody's still building on optimism. So if any of the layer 2s are going to be fine, I think it's optimism. I would say there might be an argument like that, Green. There might be an argument like that about Matic. And actually in Arbitrum and most of the other layer 2s. And they have to know this. These layer 2s have to know this. That at any moment, Vitalik and the team could go, no, like the mob, we don't think you're paying, we don't think you're giving enough love back to, you need to kick something back to us. We need more juice. You're giving us like a half point. We need like 5 points on that. And that would be it. I mean, in one day, that would be it. Most layer 2s would crash and Ethereum would double in one day, like done. So we'll see. Could be a pretty exciting summer. But I still think we're on the 8th. We got another week until tax day. We got to get past tax day. We get past tax day, I think things look a lot better. I think people can start putting money in. I don't see a lot of people investing right now. I think people are waiting. I think people are still trying to figure out like where we are, what's going on. I think the market's pretty much absorbed all this tariff stuff. We didn't get the Black Monday like Jim Cramer promised us. I don't know. These guys, well, you can say whatever you want. I guess you have to say something sensational or no one listens. So there you go. Anyway, cool. All right, let's call it a day. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything my poor insolvent drunk, struggling on meth grandmother wouldn't do. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. 8 a.m. Pacific. And until then, tout à l'heure.
Terrified, wandering mind, the seams have come undone. You've been telling lies to these eyes as if they'd never seen the sun. Now you've let your guard down and your heart is exposed. Now you've let your guard down, but how could you have known that I'm the big fish round here? You're a small fish. I could make you disappear. You should know this. I'm the big fish round here. You're a small fish.